especially when you do that.
Considering the job you have, you know, seeing it as it is most of the time and stuff, so it works well.
Good morning, everyone. This meeting of the Escambia County Board of Adjustment for July 16, 2025 is hereby called to order. With 4 members present, we have a quorum. Will the clerk please swear in members of staff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Members of the board, copies of staff's resumes have previously been provided and remain on file for reference. The board has previously recognized staff as expert witnesses. Does anyone have any questions regarding their qualifications and abilities to offer expert testimony? Seeing none. The BOA meeting package for July 16, 2025 with the Development Services staff findings of fact has previously been provided to board members. The chair will now entertain a motion to accept the BOA meeting package into evidence. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we? All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Opposed? None. The motion passes with 4 members in favor and no members opposed. Madam Clerk, do we have proof of publication?
Yes, sir.
Did the publication meet all the legal requirements?
Yes, sir.
The chair will now entertain a motion to waive the reading of the legal advertisement. Do we have a motion?
I move so.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. The motion passes, 4 members in favor of the motion and no members opposed. Members of the board, have you reviewed the minutes for the Board of Adjustment meeting held on May 21, 2025? Upon your review of the minutes, are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none. The chair will now entertain a motion regarding the minutes for the Board of Adjustment meeting held on May 21, 2025. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. The motion passes, 4 members in favor and no members opposed. Willie, would you read the purpose of the Board of Adjustment and conduct of the meeting, please?
Yes. Can I get a copy of it this morning? Okay. Okay, I got it.
I'm sorry.
I'm fancy this morning, okay. Got you. Purpose of the Board Adjustment and conduct of the meeting. The Board of Adjustment, BOA, hears administrative appeals, variances, and a conditional use request. These hearings are quasi-judicial in nature. Quasi-judicial hearings are likely like evidentiary hearings in a court of law, however less formal. All public testimony will be taken under oath, and anyone testifying before the BOA may be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits that the BOA considers are entered into evidence and made part of the record. The giving of opinion testimony will be limited to experts, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence in the record. After hearing the testimony and arguments for and against the proposed action, and before making its decision, the BOA will consider the relevant testimony, the exhibits entered into evidence, and the applicable law. Because decisions of the BOA relating to the variances, conditional uses, and extensions of development order for site plan approval are final. Unless overturned by a court of competent jurisdiction, the county may issue development orders and permits for properties in ordinance with the decision of the BOA. However, if applicant requests the issuance of such order or permit, and such order or permit is issued, the applicant and not the county shall bear any risk that such decision may be set aside. The development order or permit may be revoked, or the development may be otherwise enjoined by the reviewing court. Any applicant for relief from a decision of the BOA for said actions, or any aggrieved party as defined by state law, may seek review of such decision by filing an appropriate pleading in court of competent jurisdiction within 30 days of the BOA decision. The date of the BOA decision shall be the date of the BOA voted at the conclusion of the hearing. Whenever the BOA denies an application, no new application for an identical action on the same parcel shall be accepted for consideration within a period of 180 days of the BOA decision. Any person aggrieved by a decision of the BOA relating to an appeal of an administrative decision may, within 15 days thereafter, apply for the circuit court for review. Each individual who wishes to address the board regarding any particular issue must complete a blue request to speak form and submit it to the clerk of board. These forms are located on the table at the back of the commission chambers. You would not be allowed to speak until we receive one of these completed request to speak forms. We must have these completed forms for the public record.
All written or oral communication outside of this hearing with members of the BOA regarding matters under review today are considered ex parte communications. Ex parte communications are presumed prejudicial under Florida law and must be disclosed as provided in Board of County Commission Resolution 9613 before a decision by the board on any administrative appeal, variance, or conditional use request. The chair would ask, as each case is heard, that the board member who has been involved in any, ex parte, communications regarding the respective issue to please identify themselves and describe the communication. Case number CU 2025-07, 40 Mason Lane, 24 East Mason Lane, 50 East Mason Lane, and 58 Mason Lane. A conditional use request to allow a retail store greater than 6,000 square feet, but no greater than 35,000 square feet in HDMU zoning, requested by Tisdale Enterprises LLC. Board members, has there been any ex parte communications regarding this case? Seeing none. Board members, is there any knowledge or information obtained from a site visit or other source? Seeing none. Does any board member intend to refrain from voting due to a voting conflict of interest? Seeing none. Would the individuals who are a party to this item please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record so you can be sworn in by the clerk?
Stephen Tisdale, you said address too, right? 5742 Grand Lagoon Boulevard, Pensacola, Florida, 32507.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Were you provided with a copy of the criteria required to obtain a conditional use and a copy of the findings of facts?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that all criteria must be met in order for the board to grant a conditional use?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to make a presentation, or you can ask the staff to make a presentation and you can follow after?
I mean, I could make I guess a simple statement. If you looked at the property, everything around it is HCLI. Everything that I've done across the street is HCLI, and I would strongly figure in the future everything else around it will be HCLI. It just hadn't caught up, so I kind of see this as a bit of a formality.
Staff, would you like to make a presentation?
I can go through the,
Findings of facts?
or I can just do a brief summary of what's going on at the parcels, if you like. I can go through the findings.
We'll want to go through the findings of facts.
Okay, I'll go through the findings. So this is for retail sales. It's about 4 parcels. As Mr. Tisdale stated, the surrounding area, it is HCLI. However, this is for conditional use for HDMU. So the first criteria is the general compatibility. And based on the documentation provided by the applicant, the retail facility or the proposed retail facility can be developed and operated in a manner that is compatible with the adjacent properties and other surroundings in the immediate area, as he stated. The HDMU zoning district is intended to establish appropriate areas and land use regulations for a complementary mix of high-density residential and compatible non-residential uses, typically within the suburban settings. The primary objective of the HDMU district is to support neighborhood-scale retail services and professional offices while allowing for greater residential density and diversity than that permitted in the low-density residential district. Additionally, the HDMU district encourages a network of well-connected streets and is intended to provide a transitional buffer between suburban development and more dense urban uses. The subject site is located along Mason Lane, which is a local roadway. Properties along Mason Lane feature mixed zoning designations, including heavy commercial and light industrial, HCLI, commercial, with a mixed-use urban future land use designation. Furthermore, by implementing appropriate landscaping, buffering, lighting, and access management measures, the site can be designed to ensure compatibility with adjacent residential uses in accordance with the standards set forth in the Escambia County Land Development Code. Criterion B, facilities and services. The applicant has indicated that the ECUA, Emerald Coast Utilities Authority, will provide potable water, sanitary sewer, and solid waste services to the site. All required public facilities and services capacities necessary to support the proposed use must be verified and satisfied during the site plan review process. Criterion C, on-site circulation. Based on the submitted preliminary site plan, ingress and egress to the site will be provided via North Palafox Street, which is, again, otherwise State Road 95 or SR 95, and Mason Lane. The developer will be required to coordinate access with Escambia County Access Management during the site plan review process. Preliminary review indicates that vehicle and pedestrian safety, on-site circulation, traffic flow, and emergency vehicle access appear adequate for the proposed retail use. However, further evaluation by county transportation staff is necessary to ensure satisfactory delivery truck maneuverability and compliance with all on-site circulation requirements outlined in the Land Development Code. In addition, parking and on-site circulation will be further evaluated during the site plan review process to ensure the design adequately supports the operational needs of the proposed retail development. Criterion D, nuisances and hazards. As shown on the preliminary site plan, the retail sales facility will be centrally located on the properties. No nuisances or hazards are anticipated in association with customary indoor retail operations. Criterion E, solid waste. Solid waste service must be provided as necessary to support the proposed use. According to the applicant, solid waste containers will be strategically located to minimize potential impacts. In accordance with the Escambia County Land Development Code, all solid waste dumpsters are required to be screened and buffered from adjacent residential uses and the public right-of-way. Criterion F, screening and buffering. Per section 2-2.3A, 1B, and C1 of the Design Standard Manual in the Land Development Code, the proposed retail sales facility must provide a 12-foot landscape buffering along property lines of adjacent residential uses. Criterion G, signs and lighting. Per section 5-9.3 of the Land Development Code, exterior lighting in and around buildings and in parking lots is permitted in all districts. Lighting is to be located for safety and visual effect. With the exception of street lights, it shall be installed so as not to shine directly on adjacent properties. Lighting shall avoid annoyance from brightness and glare. Furthermore, all proposed signage will require counter review and approval to achieve the signage requirements as specified in the Land Development Code. Signs and lighting will be evaluated during the development review process and must adhere to what is allowed by the provisions of the Land Development Code. Criterion H, site characteristics. According to the current survey and the application documents submitted, the site is approximately 3.03 acres in size and appears adequate to accommodate the proposed use. Criterion I, use requirements. The proposed retail use is permitted within the high-density mixed-use zoning district. However, because the proposed building exceeds 6,000 square feet, but it does not exceed 35,000 square feet, it is subject to the conditional use review for high-density mixed-use portion of the development parcel. Staff findings: staff recommends approval for the conditional use as requested, contingent upon successful completion of the development review process and issuance of a development order. And that concludes staff findings.
Thank you. Does the applicant want to add anything to that?
No, that pretty much has it, the way I see it.
All right, does the board have any questions for the applicant or the staff?
Can we see the maps and the working document?
So this is an overall map of the site as far as Mason Lane.
So this is just north of Halifax Base,
Yes,
okay, and kind of a little industrial park, kind of off, okay,
It's right where Pace and Palafox split off at.
yeah.
right. This is again a map of the zoning districts and the site.
What,
This is the future
Good.
land use map. This is the, it is in the Palafox Overlay District, CRA. And this is an aerial map of the site of all 4 parcels. That is the notice of public hearing sign. That's just looking north onto the parcels. That's west along Mason Lane. South across Mason Lane, which is this other, this is south across Mason Lane again. South again across Mason Lane, and this is east along Mason. And that's it as far as the,
can you go back to the land use maps?
sure. The land use, the zoning map, or the future land use, which one you want, the zoning map, that one? That one.
There we go. I'm always amazed at how those things get, that all looks like it should be one land use. So,
Okay. As you can see, like Mr. Tisdale said, everything surrounding is
Yeah.
commercial and HCLI, and those parcels are the only HDMU, so.
right,
Other than across the street.
yes,
There's actually a piece of that, if you see right there where the HCLI, about where she has her pointer
Yeah.
at,
yeah,
the lot right there is already developed
Yeah.
as well too, and it still says HDMU, so.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Board, any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I feel like if there's no further questions, I think it's an appropriate time to, make a motion to approve according to staff findings.
And I second.
We have a motion and we have a second. The motion,
Vote.
please raise your right hand in agreement with the staff findings. The motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Any new business or?
Any business, new business or old business?
Nope, just that the next meeting is going to be Wednesday, August 20th, and we do already have 2 cases scheduled.
Okay, I hereby call for the end of.
Adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
gentlemen and ladies.